Anyway, it has been a while. Um, I can't even like 5 months. I think a lot's happened. Not gonna lie, life goes on. Um, but here we are, and what matters now is some things have changed. I'm finally exploring Rust, which is interesting to say the least. Never thought I would get into Rust, but I always wanted to do something with it. Not gonna lie. Never had a use case for it until now because I kind of want to make, or at least I should say, I'm in the process of trying to make my first game using Bevy. I've had some experience here and there with Unity. Didn't like Unity all that much, so I moved on to Godot. I never really tried Unreal. At least when I did try it, the computer I had at the time preferred to shit its pants anytime I tried to load Unreal. So there's that. Um, Godot wasn't bad, but I really couldn't get into it. The UI, absolutely great, but the scripting I didn't like, and I didn't want to have to learn, or I should say, return to what I did learn of C sharp because I don't really care for C sharp or C++. Plus plus. What I really always wanted to learn was Rust, but without a use case for Rust, I didn't want to pick it up just to never use it. Funny enough, I have some online certifications in Kotlin, but I've never actually touched Kotlin outside of that. So it's like that knowledge isn't relevant anymore. I haven't looked at Kotlin and I don't even know how many years, and I never wanted that to happen with Rust. So I've been picking up Bevy, which is actually really nice, super configurable. Um, I haven't used it enough to actually have the experience to back any of the claims that I have, so I'd rather not make any claims. But I personally have been having a blast with how easy it has been to A, stay in programming um, as a developer. A UI, funny enough, I really like UIs, but I also it's every now and then kind of feel like a UI takes me out of the mindset of what I'm trying to get done. I know it's like the weirdest thing to try and explain. Um, so there's that. But with Bevy, I've actually genuinely really been enjoying myself. This is probably the first time I've tried to make a game and a concept even last more than 3 days. You know, usually I'm at the whim of my ADHD and or autism. I mean, I'm autistic, not ADHD, but I have a lot of ADHD qualities. I'm not an expert on it. I just know what the paper says. So anyway, uh, my interests don't last longer than a handful of days before I move on to the next thing. I think everybody knows the infamous 2 week Minecraft cycle, but for me that applies to everything. Um, but Bevy has been such a joy, and learning Rust, finally learning Rust and its quirks, in something that I find super enjoyable and something that has a lot of return, immediate, like, what do you call it, dopamine return or whatever you want to. Visually, being a visual person that hates UIs, super. I know, but yeah, no, Bevy's been an absolute blast. So let me see what we can get going here. But what is this? This is asteroids. I've been studying this thing I found. One of the examples that you can find is asteroids. I can't remember specifically where I got it from, not gonna lie. Let me see if this is anything. So yeah, This is just an example, a work in progress implementation of asteroids in Bevy. Some modifications are being made from the original game, obviously using sprites, which going in, they use Kenny assets, which, by the way, totally recommend because I didn't know anything about. Let me see if I can anything about this, but yeah, thousands of thousands of completely free game assets for you to use. And I was looking over it, and it appears to be that there's really no catch outside of, I guess, donations. Everything's pretty much free to use. It doesn't require you to say anything. I can't remember where specifically you read it. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, but basically, this thing right here. Why is my mouse doing? Not mouse. My scroll wheel. My surface is. Come on. There we go. But yeah. So these assets are actually really amazing. I was going through them, especially like their 2D ones, not tools, assets. Let me see if we can find like space UI. Okay, so the UI pack sci-fi. I'd probably not planets, but the space shooter and then the space shooter extension. This is exactly what's used in the Kenny sprite sheet, which is exactly what you see here. These ships are from, yeah. So these asteroids and stuff like that. And what it includes is like how to handle accessing the sprite. I haven't gone through this in any depth, not gonna lie. I was just kind of studying it as an implementation. Mine, on the other hand, see if I can pull it up. What I've managed to make so far isn't a lot, but I'm happy with Bevy. Uh, so I'll show you first. I should probably give a noise warning ahead of time. Lower your volume. It's a work in progress. What I came up with is that you can move, and the enemy will try to chase you, and it slowly gets closer, and as it gets closer, you'll notice that the corruption, as I call it, gets louder and louder. So, I imagine that's probably loud, so I'm gonna cut that. And what I love about Bevy is that this is all it takes to get started with all of that. We've neatly tucked away the setup script right here, which just brings in our camera. And then every small system, every little module or component, whatever you want to call it, is called a plugin in Bevy. And so everything is completely, at least so far, and the limited complexity of this game so far, is entirely encased within its own plugin that you just either pull in or pull out. And it doesn't really, it may or may not change or break anything depending on what you have put together. But the fact that you could just pop it out, pop it in as you want it, super modular, what you like, don't like. Um, for example, the default plugins. This includes the very fact that you have a window and a game loop are added by the default plugins list. I don't have to manually and sit here and draw a window and handle system differences or anything. That's all handled by Bevy. All I have to do is just make a game, link it up, and it runs. And even more beautiful, I come from a web development background. So I'm used to Flex. I'm used to JSX, which I bring that up because there's a proposal to bring a JSX similar syntax to Bevy for UI. I'm excited to see where that goes. But you also, when it comes to colors, I don't have to sit here and play with RGB because you know what we have in the front end? We have Tailwind. And what Tailwind does is it brings in just this modular way of using classes. And sure, there's Bootstrap. There's others too. I've used them. I started with Bootstrap. I tried out Foundation. I tried SAS, pure SAS for a while. I tried less for a while. I tried a regular CSS for a while. I fell in love with Tailwind because it just did everything right. Um, and I say that because something as simple as width, right? You get width 24, 32, and all these different ones. And behind the scenes, it translates into regular CSS. And then, and then you take that, and boy, they brought the palettes. Bevy by default adds Bevy color palettes Tailwind down to the slate underscore 950. You know what that looks like? You know why I enjoy Tailwind the most? Because I can go to Tailwind, Docs, Colors, and I can see every single last one of these and what it's going to look like. And I know in my core what that's going to look like. I don't have to sit here and guess and play with a bunch of values. You can, though. You absolutely can. It still gives you the option, and I love that. It's like the best of both worlds. Do we cradle to this user, or do we cradle to this user? And Bevy says, fuck them. Give them both. Make them both happy. And I love Bevy for that. Especially me, because I have no damn skills when it comes to game development or lower level software development outside of like developing servers and Electron. Anything below below that, I don't know. I'm stepping into that world with Rust. I have dipped my toes in it when I was like 16, 17 with C++. Never tried C. I was too scared to shoot myself in the foot when it comes to memory management in C. But yeah, I've done I've done I've done Kotlin, I've done Java, I've done C++, all very briefly. By the way, I'm not saying like I have years of experience. No, I have minute experience, and now I'm officially, happily, comfortably setting my foot in the door of low level programming with Rust because I just think it's a beautiful language. My brother, he is actually a wildly successful Minecraft mod developer. So he has a pretty definite world of Java, and he thinks Rust is just god awful syntactically. Um, but he's rolling with it. He's learning it alongside me, and it's interesting to see. Um, I say that with disdain only because he's asked me to help him make mods, and I just really don't like Java. And oh my god, dude, Minecraft modding, god awful. That put the the modders hate themselves. That is a different type of masochist self torture I will never, ever understand. Because like every new version of Minecraft is a rewrite in so many parts. And I'm not saying a complete rewrite. No, for those that don't understand, it's just really large refactors and renaming and moving things that tends to break things on a lower level, such as modding, where you're listening for these little changes to make sure that your code still works, and then those little itty bitty chunks kind of start to break down every single Minecraft update. And so what happens is Minecraft releases an update, new features, new mechanics, new mod possibilities, right? Absolutely. But they've changed a lot. That the old modding, right? So an older version of Forge used an older architecture of Minecraft's internals. So a new Minecraft comes out with new mechanics and a lot of refactors to make those older systems better means a lot of things tend to get moved around. And from what I've seen when it comes to Minecraft modding, they have this mixing capability where they're able to like specifically say in what file, at what line of code, and what properties or something like that, where they're manipulating Minecraft's source code directly, because I don't think it's like a copy virtualized sandbox system. I think they are directly modifying Minecraft. That's how these mods work. Now, if two things touch the same thing in Minecraft, I don't know how that works, right? If you have two mods that mix in the same thing, no idea how that works. But that is a different kind of torture because the game updates and then now you have to update CurseForge or Forge. I mean, CurseForge is like the marketplace platform level. Forge itself is like the library. So now you have to update Forge to accommodate for the Minecraft's core changes. And now you have core Forge changes, but now this is a new version of Forge, which means you now have to either port or significantly rewrite your mod depending on what mechanic specifically it uses. I feel sorry for the create team, but you know what? At least there is a goddamn team. Because someone like my brother, bro, he's that motherfucker. He stresses. I mean, it's got gray hair like you haven't seen before. He's a one-man team when it comes to this. And I'm sorry to say, but I do not like Java. I will not step into that. But it is nice to see that he is actually stepping into the Rust world because I could never get him to step into the TypeScript world. Um, so we at least finally, at this moment in time, seem to be having like a very, a very joined path with one language because that's we've never done that before. He's tried JavaScript. I've tried Java, and he came into programming a few years later than I did. So he's got some things that he doesn't know, where he's like all Minecraft specific and Java specific, but not like platform or architecture or engineering. Versus me, where I all of my HTTP, REST, server, DNS, all this crazy shit because I'm a full stack developer at my job. I'm a one man team. So we have a lot of differing experiences that never really looped over each other. Um, and now, I told him, like I have this horrible thing where I'm like, hey, I've got this great idea. I'm going to do this. Again, 3 days later comes by, he'll be like, where are you going out with that? Where are you going with that idea? I'm like, what idea? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. you know? Because I'm terrible at writing it down because it's like a momentary passion, but it's not a long term commitment. With luck, I might like it enough to throw it in a backlog somewhere, and God knows I have so many backlogs scattered everywhere. That's not, I'm still like, I was learning Obsidian, completely like bloated my vault. Now I'm like breaking it down into smaller vaults, and we have one that we share. Um, but it's frustrating for me to grapple with this, and then B to drag him along with it. Um, so what that's turned into this time is I said, look, I'm gonna make my game, and instead of dragging you along with it, I'm gonna make it, and I'll just let you know how it goes every now and then. But I'm not gonna try to keep you up to date with it. Don't try to ask me about it. Let's just see where this goes without me trying to put pressure on it. I drop everything else I'm trying to do because I do tend to have like a lot of different things I'm trying to do at one time, and it tends to just completely burn me out. I work 8 hours sitting in this chair, right? But before that, I might be on a game before I clock in this chair, and then after work, what am I doing? I might play a game, or I might work on my game, or I might want to go learn Rust, or I might want to do this, or this project. That's all I ever do is work in my own projects. So A, I'm always burning out, and then B, I'm always sitting in this chair. So like, sure, I did the smartest thing I could. I gave myself a standing desk, right? And you would think that would help solve the problem because now I can stand up. But I forgot about one very important thing: willpower. The ability to tell yourself you can do it and actually have some fucking follow through. Because let me tell you, too many times do I stand here, I try to get to work, and then did you know standing is actually really distracting? I didn't think about that part because I don't know how it is for everyone else. It's usually how this goes with being autistic in a very sheltered, isolated childhood. You didn't get to be around your peers where you know that everything's just normalized, so you kind of run into a whole lot of, yeah, this thing's pretty special about me, and then everyone just like, it's pretty fucking normal. So that's always fun to run into. So as I'm saying right now, standing for me is very fucking distracting. Like I'll be here and I'm trying to think, right? I'm trying to just work. I'm trying to think. And I'm like, well, what about this? Like let's think about this. Let's sure. Okay, this is the movement to move left. This is the movement to move up. And for whatever reason, I feel slower when I'm standing. I don't know why that is, but I feel like okay, I'm getting distracted. My ankles are kind of hurting, my knees are kind of hurting, my feet are kind of hurting. Why? Why are my feet hurting? Well, I've worn down my house shoes from standing in them 24/7 because they're not supposed to be used 24/7. But I work from home. I live at home. I rarely ever go outside because I live in such a small town. So like I just sit in this chair all the time. So either my ass hurts or my feet hurts. And after about 14, 16 hours, depending on what day it is, of sitting in this chair or trying to stand and then getting annoyed that I can't stop thinking about the fact that I'm standing, I try to sit back down, I get burnt out. So I say all that because what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to work within my own means and try to just fucking listen to my body and my head, right? If I'm interested in doing this, I'll do this. If I'm interested in doing this, then I'll switch to doing this. I gotta have a little bit of fight within myself to force myself to work throughout the day, at least for 8 hours, with outside of my breaks that I give myself. Outside of that, I don't think I should force myself to have as much supposed discipline as I do. Because what happens is I tell myself I should be doing something. That makes me feel bad about it. Then I beat myself up about it. Then I kind of fall back into doom scrolling on TikTok for, oh, 3 hours. Well, fuck me. And it just kind of it's a repeated cycle of I'm burnt out. I recognize I'm burnt out. I should do something about being burnt out. Oh, you should probably relax. But how long have we been relaxing? I feel like we've been relaxing for 3 days in a row. Oh, it's only been 2.5. Well, it's almost three. I have random thoughts. But you gotta listen to your body. And that's why I was gone for a few months. Um, I know it's weird, like, you're like, oh, you create an introduction, and then you make a project management video, and then everything just kind of. I've been through a lot. Uh, you know, like in my last, I don't know if I touched on it in my introduction, but when I had first made that, I had just gotten out of a very abusive relationship and a domestic violence case, and reintegrating from losing my apartment to living with my family again has been very hard. Um, but you know what? I've also been a bit of a pussy. I have been sitting on my ass for far too long, telling myself I deserve a break because I spent so much time working my ass off for someone that didn't appreciate it to fund their lifestyle. And now I got really, really happy to have my own money and my own lifestyle back. But I can say that I've hit a lot of speed bumps, and instead of slowing down, I just kept going at the same pace and just hitting that burnout over and over and over because I wasn't really respecting a break. I was telling myself I should be working, but then that beat up just kind of just cyclically repeats itself. So now I'm here. And I'm only making this video, and I promise this, because my girlfriend's asleep and I have the time to record, and I've had a lot of time to think. And for once I can confidently say that I'm happy. And I'm finally kind of in a mood to clean my life back up. I found someone that genuinely loves and cares about me. And now it's time to respect myself again. So, here it is. I'm happy learning Bevy, learning Rust, making a game in my free time, while in my free time also saying, you know what, my focus has changed. I don't want to push myself doing this anymore. Let's not burn out. All right, let's switch. And it feels decent. I don't feel like I'm beating myself up. And at the same time, I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm beating myself up, and I also don't feel like I'm not being productive by switching, because that's one of the most important things. I live under an arbitrary "you should be more productive" mindset, and I honestly think that that's a bit of a toxic mindset to force yourself to be productive and never actually chill. I don't think I want to learn that lesson when I'm 45. I'd rather listen and learn and teach myself that lesson right now at 27 tomorrow, you know? So, um, shit, what was I going to talk about? Oh, but yeah, I'm trying to quit smoking. That's the hard part. It's not addictive, but the discomfort that I feel when I don't smoke is. The comfort's addicting. And also, I think really fast, and it slows me down. And I like that. But I also have health issues like high blood pressure and asthma, and I've had COVID 4 times. So smoking is not easy. I smoke a little bit and then I'm, I'm coughing nonstop, and then I start getting headaches, and Lord have mercy. My girlfriend, she's like, well, if you cough all the time, as soon as you start smoking, why do you smoke? And I say, I don't like that I smoke. I actually really fucking hate that I smoke. Boy, it's expensive. Even illegal stuff at the tobacco shop across the street. The the diet weed, if you want to call it that. But it's not good for you or your wallet. And part of getting my life back together, sure, I've spent I don't know how many months enjoying the fact that my money is my money again. I'm on a payment plan with the IRS to repay the money I couldn't save or should have saved. Oh, I was irresponsible. Not gonna lie, it wasn't solely her fault. There was a lot of irresponsibility on my part too. I won't solely blame her. Um, I should have saved more money for taxes after having a contract. You should probably save money when you have a contract so you can pay your taxes after the contract. I didn't do that. That's my fuck up. I'll own that shit. But anyway, we are wildly off topic because I don't know how to write a script or follow a script. So I say all of that to say, hey, hi, um, I'm Sinclair, and welcome back to what will be the continuation of what has been a very interesting life. I may not be rich, but I am wealthy with experience. And that has meaning to me, even if it doesn't have meaning to you. I feel like I've lived till my 50s and I'm only 27 tomorrow, which is a crazy thought, because boy, does my back feel 50. But weirdly, thanks to Lauren, I feel loved, happy, and finally in the mindset to love myself again. And you don't need someone for that, but we're not all the same. I default to a lot of self hate when I'm by myself. I don't advocate that. Don't do that to yourself. If you don't have someone and you deeply, deeply wish you had someone, that's okay. Part of the problem, by the way, is dating apps. What a fucking scam. Just being real, you gotta get out there. I I struggle to get out there, but I'm autistic. Even with that excuse, I still try to push myself. And I gotta tell you, I've been with some amazing people. Stick to personality though. You can have preferences. Come on. I like black girls and only black girls. That's just a thing. It's okay to have preferences. And respect your preferences. Don't settle. But also, because to anyone that does genuinely make it this far in this video, I have a very strong feeling that you're probably like me and you live a maybe you do or don't have people around you, but you feel lonely all the time, even when you do have people around you. You feel like you can't talk to those people, and that the only thing you want in life is just a companion, a partner. Maybe love, maybe just a best friend. Everyone deserves companionship, but don't turn that into a partnership. Not always. Let me tell you, I've learned that lesson. There were definitely some relationships that should have just stayed friendships. 100%. You can love someone platonically. I would. The most I do is help people financially. I'm not gonna lie. Um, but you don't need someone. For the love of God, don't use GPT as a companion. That motherfucker. Ugh. I did it for months, and I've met other people that do it too. My girlfriend does it too. But good God, is it an ass kisser until you push a liberal agenda, and then magically you've stepped on its feet, which I think is kind of funny. But um, love yourself, please. I'm finally coming out of my own darkness. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm making this video. Um, because if I haven't said it before, my job is working for a crisis call center. I'm bound by an NDA, so I can't really say. But I'm kidding. I don't know what the NDA covers. I just like to say that. But I did sign an NDA, so I don't actually know what I can and can't talk about other outside of like the what goes on within the software and what the name of the software is. I genuinely should really reevaluate that NDA. I know what I can't say. Funny enough, I just don't know what I can say. So I work for a crisis call center, based out of my state. And by out of my state, I mean legitimately out of my state, not out of my state, but out of my. I don't know how to say it, but I work remotely. You get it. I'm over explaining at this point. Um, so I am a bit of a mental health advocate. Respect yourself. We're in it, by the way. I'm just gonna try to make a game and update you every now and then. I'm not even gonna call this a devlog. This is just another video right now, because 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 I felt like I had something to say. And if you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe, because that's what people are supposed to say in YouTube videos, right? I'm kidding. Keep it real, though, and respect yourself. Always.